A student at a school located in an Abuja suburb has been killed while 4 others were wounded during an explosion at the school. A security source said the incident happened around noon on Monday at an Islamia school in the Kuchibiyu community of Buhari Area Council, about 42 kilometers from the Abuja city center. It was also guarded that emergency and security personnel, including the police bomb disposal squad, arrived at the scene of the explosion. The injured victims were taken to hospital. Details of the explosion remain unclear, and the police are yet to make an official statement. But at the moment, we have our correspondent, Joshua Imari, standing by at the location that the blast occurred earlier today. Let's see what update he has for us. Joshua, thanks for joining us. What can you tell us about the explosion? What have you found? Joshua, can you hear me? I don't think you got my question. I'm asking you, what have you found since you've been at the location?
Well, I am at Kuchibiyu community in Buhari Area Council of the Federal Capital Territory. And basically what is behind me used to be the classroom, the Islamia school here in Kuchibiyu, where the explosion occurred earlier in the day. What we can see here is we can see debris of uneaten food, we can see footwears, and we can see blood sliding down from the pavement here down to the ground here. And as you can see, there are debris from the building showing there was an explosion that occurred here earlier. But we don't have a full details of what happened here. But based on what we see is that this used to be the school where students of Muslim education schooled here in Kuchibiyu community in the Buhari Area Council of the Federal Capital Territory.
The police bomb disposal unit was there earlier. Did they confirm that anybody was injured or any deaths in the explosion?
Well, when we were on our way here, we saw a convoy. Particularly, we don't know who that convoy belonged to, but we saw the convoy of policemen moving out of this community. But they've released a statement so far, and what they are saying is that the people who died as a result of this explosion were the person who brought the explosion to the school premises here. But however, speaking to some of the residents here in this community, they confirmed to us that children from this school actually died. I have one particular person here who is the commander of the JTF here in this community. Please come forward, sir. Please come forward. Who is the commander of the JTF in this community? Based on what he said so far, he said that some children from this school actually lost their life as a result of this bombing. Good evening, sir. Tell us your name and who you are in this community.
I am Jubrin Baba. So I am Kuchibiyu.
Yes.
Yeah, things will happen for you. Actually, we know they're around here, but things happen where we say we don't know how the thing happen.
Will you see anybody die for this?
Yes, we are seeing 2 people. 1 person died for here. 3 people went to the hospital. 1 died for there. 2 people remain there.
Well, like how many students there for this community, for this school?
They say 21 children. They are reading for here.
How many teachers they here?
Only 1 teacher.
No, so the children who they school for this school here, they're from this community. They come from this community.
No, they are come from Katsina.
From Katsina.
Yes.
So you mean say none of the community people here they school for this school?
No. No only community person there around here. So now Katsina people they are reading for here.
Even the teacher not from this community.
No, the Katsina too. The children come to their teachers.
So for how long this teacher don't they here?
The teacher don't read like by 3 years for here. Where
this teacher here?
Yes. Nearly 3 years since a good luck time where we say they bring the school for here. When the teacher start the school for here, teaching them.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
But
sir.
one last question.
Yes.
Did they get any police posts around this place?
No, we don't have any police posts here.
Okay, thank you.
That is our problem. good. Anything we have somebody get injury for before we go right person to inside hospital there, we have a health center for here. But things never too available like that. What we say we can get to do personal operation for here first.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
So based on what we gather, you can go, sir. So based on what we gather so far is that nobody from this community attends this particular school. They are outsiders, particularly according to what they said, outsiders from Katsina who came to the school that was established primarily for Muslim education. That's when I mean Muslim education, Arabic education and the likes. Based on what so far, the explosion occurred in the afternoon where most of the community out in their farms and in their daily activities, where they heard a loud bang and most of them rushed back that occurred here in the school.
You go. Before I ask any further question or just let you go, what sense are you getting about security currently in that area, and what is the description like? Are the people still about? I know it's a bit late, but can you see some sort of movement aside from the convoy you saw earlier?
Well, what I can confirm to you in this community as we entered this community was that we saw movement. The people are going about their daily activities as normal. When we came here, we saw people gathered at some sort of a village square here at the square earlier before we got to this place. Those people actually showed us the direction of this place. But what I can confirm to you that these people are left to the mercy of the vigilante people who are here gathering them. The nearest division the police division is far away that you can take a bike of 1,000 naira before you could get to the nearest division, the police division here in Buhari Area Council, and that is the nearest village here.
Thank you very much for bringing us this update. We're hopeful to put the questions to the police tomorrow to confirm those figures. Thanks again.
It's a pleasure.
We can now bring you one of our top stories tonight. Again, President Bola Tinubu has arrived at Accra, the capital of Ghana, for Tuesday's inauguration of President-elect John Mahama. The president, who has been in Lagos for the Christmas break, took off from the Murtala Mohammed International Airport this evening. President Tinubu's trip to Accra is at the invitation of the president-elect who had visited the Nigerian leader earlier in December. Mahama, who served as the 12th president of Ghana between 2011 and 2017, was re-elected in December 2024 to succeed President Nana Akufo-Addo. President Tinubu, as chairman of the ECOWAS Authority of Heads of State and Government, will join other African leaders at the ceremony. Minister of State for Foreign Affairs, Bianca Odumegwu-Ojukwu, and other senior government officials are on the president's delegation. Still talking about inauguration, the eyes of the world will be on Ghana this Tuesday when dignitaries from around the globe gather at Black Star Square to witness the swearing-in of President-elect John Mahama. Mahama's National Democratic Congress ousted the ruling New Patriotic Party after 8 years in power. For News Central, international correspondent Afia Hagan has more.
John Mahama, Ghana's main opposition leader, tried twice before to win back the country's top post. Now he has secured the huge comeback needed on his third attempt for the presidency after tapping into the country's economic frustrations to win December's election.
I have the singular honor as the returning officer of the 2024 presidential election to declare His Excellency John Dramani Mahama as the winner of the 2024 presidential election.
His win marks a historic victory, making him the first president in the 3 decades of Ghana's Fourth Republic since the 1992 return to multi-party democracy to reclaim the presidency after being voted out. Mahama of the National Democratic Congress Party beat out Vice President Mahamudu Bawumia, who represented the ruling New Patriotic Party and who conceded defeat.
The people of Ghana have spoken. The people have voted for change at this time, and we respect that decision with all humility.
The economy became a major election issue after Ghana defaulted on its debt and entered into a $3 billion deal with the International Monetary Fund. Mahama, who served as president from 2012 to 2017, promised to reset Ghana, renegotiate parts of the IMF deal, and introduce a 24-hour economy to create jobs, a major concern for younger voters. But Mahama's tenure as president was marred by a severe energy crisis that led to persistent power cuts, known locally as doomsor, which dented his reputation. Corruption allegations also plagued his administration, although no charges were formally filed against him. On corruption, Mahama says he will create a new office tasked with scrutinizing government procurement above a $5 million threshold. Mahama's inauguration takes place on Tuesday. For News Central, I'm Afia Hagan.
To security matters now, gunmen reportedly led by the notorious bandit leader Danny Suhu have allegedly imposed a 172.7 million naira levy on 25 villages in southwest Zamfara state. Counterinsurgency expert Zagazola Makama disclosed on his official X account that the levies include demands for bags of soybeans and threats of violence against those unable to comply. Fearing reprisals, hundreds of residents have abandoned their homes, farmlands and livelihoods. While security has reportedly improved in the town and along the Funtua-Safa axis, rural villages in Safa-West remain vulnerable to attacks. Local leaders have appealed to authorities for urgent interventions, calling for the deployment of more security personnel and the establishment of permanent security posts in the area to protect the affected communities. Staying with security matters, terrorists linked to the Islamic State West Africa province has killed 6 soldiers in an attack on a military base in northeast Nigeria. Military sources revealed that ISWAP fighters stormed the Sabongeri base in Borno State, Damboa district on Sunday, arriving in trucks and on motorcycles. The attackers set the base and army vehicles ablaze, forcing troops to retreat. Fighter jets were deployed from Maiduguri, the regional capital, located about 100 kilometers away, and struck the militants as they fled. Nigeria's northeast has been a hotspot for insurgency since 2009, with groups like Boko Haram, ISWAP, and armed criminal gangs contributing to widespread violence. The conflict has claimed over 40,000 lives and displaced around 2 million people in the region. The call for state policing has been described as a vital tool in addressing security and peace-related issues in society. At a press briefing convened by the Plateau Peace Practitioners Network in collaboration with the Paramalam Peace Foundation, the need for state policing was highlighted to create a more secure environment for citizens. News Center's Chizoba Anyowe reports.
Insecurity across many parts of Nigeria, including Plateau State, prompted this briefing. The peace practitioners gathered here are seeking a way forward, brainstorming solutions to the security challenges. While commending the efforts of security agencies in the state, they said the establishment of state policing would provide significant value.
By United Nations Charter, you are expected to have 2% of your police force as compared to your population. We have 0.005%, with just 360 or thereabout police, 360,000 policemen to 200 million people, considering our land mass, and that same police force doing 50% VIP work.
We commend the proactive investment in the use of technology by the Governor of Plateau State in stopping those who seek to perpetuate acts of violence before they carry such out. Technology has played a significant role in securing our communities, and the Governor takes the full credit for this innovative approach to peace and security.
We also commend the unwavering commitment of security forces such as the GOC, Operation Safe Haven, the Commander Operation Safe Haven, and the Director DSS, the Commissioner of Police Plateau State, the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense, that's NCDC, and the Commander Operation Rambo, amongst others. Their collaborative efforts and actions have significantly de-escalated violence and enhanced security across the states. Notably, the arrest of 13 gun runners on Christmas Eve in Mangu underscores their dedication to safeguarding our community.
With the proposals discussed, all state actors are urged to renounce violence in all its forms and to collaborate with security agencies in their fight against criminality, striving for a violence-free society. In Jos for News Central, Chizoba Anyuwi.
Survivors of the devastating tanker inferno in Agbo, Ika South local government area of Delta State are grappling with their losses. The Delta State government has assured the victims and their families of support. Deputy Governor Monday Oyeme, representing Governor Sheriff Oborewori, disclosed this to journalists after inspecting the site of the disaster in Agbo. My colleague Austin Azu tells us more.
January 5th, 2025 remains etched in memory as sober day in Agbo. A diesel-laden tanker suffered brake failure along the old Lagos-Asaba road, crashing at the traffic light junction. The resulting explosion claimed at least 4 lives, left others injured, and destroyed several vehicles and buildings. In the aftermath, survivors are recounting their devastating losses and the destruction of their livelihoods. Sympathizers are offering emotional support, while onlookers gather to witness the extent of the tragedy.
Since when Onitsha closed down for the year, the whole money when they say, they secure them. Say based on today, we carry money go bank. Now, what we are here yesterday, say has won.
We have facilities, machines and facilities worth over 40 million naira. I know there are several other persons, neighbors and their friends here.
Only one fire service vehicle here, and they tried their best. They were running as they finished their what they are using. They go back and so on, and I pitied them. Even the crowd wanted to lynch them, as if they were the cause of the whole thing.
Governor Sheriff Oborewori, represented by Deputy Governor Monday Oyeme and accompanied by senior officials, visited the scene to assess the extent of the damage.
The people that their shops are affected and their buildings are affected, we also profile all of them. And then the government is going to come to their aid.
The Deputy Governor also led a condolence visit to the home of one of the victims. The grieving family received words of comfort and assurance from the government.
We pray for the repose of our soul. We that are alive will do whatever we can to cushion whatever effect.
The husband of one of the victims recounted the harrowing events that led to his wife's death in the inferno. He expressed gratitude to the state governor for the visit and support.
My wife was in between the tanker and my vehicle, wanting to enter my vehicle when the explosion happened, and the explosion picked her. It was when we were running, we looked back and saw my wife on the ground burning, and there was nothing two of us could do. So after all,
the Commissioner for Environment commented on the extent of damage to the affected buildings. Meanwhile, the Ika South Local Government Chairman outlined plans to ease traffic congestion along the site of the incident.
Thank God, our working governor, compassionate governor, His Excellency Right Honorable Sheriff Oborewori, said he has mandated the Ministry of Works and SEMA to do the needful, and I believe the needful will be done.
The News Central crew visited the Agbo Central Hospital, where survivors are receiving treatment. The medical director provided updates on their recovery.
Then currently, they were stable, and we didn't see reasons to keep them beyond yesterday. So they've gone home and they're in good condition.
As those affected by the tanker inferno continue to count their losses, the big question remains, where will they start from? In Agbo for News Central, I'm Austin Azu.
The Lagos State House of Assembly has approved a total budget of 3.37 trillion naira for 2025. The approval followed a report presentation by the chairman of the Joint Committee on Appropriation and Finance, Honorable Saad Olumoh, during Monday's plenary. The budget was passed through a voice vote led by Speaker Right Honorable Mudashiru Obasa. The budget allocates 1.3 trillion naira for recurrent expenditure and 2.07 trillion naira for capital projects, covering the fiscal year ending December 31, 2025. Speaker Obasa directed the clerk, Olaleko Onafeko, to forward the bill to Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu for assent. He also commended lawmakers for their diligence in ensuring the budget's passage. Let's tell you that telecommunications companies in Nigeria, West Africa, are advocating for 100% increase in tariffs to address escalating operational costs, driven by factors such as double-digit inflation, the removal of energy subsidies, and the devaluation of Naira, Nigeria's currency. Industry leaders argue that telecommunication services in Nigeria have long been overdue for a tariff review. They believe a 100% increase would enable telecom companies to maintain and improve their infrastructure, ensuring sustainability and the delivery of high-quality services. News Central's Sagir Ibrahim was on the streets of Lagos to gauge the opinions of Nigerians on the matter. He brings us details.
In Nigeria, services such as making telephone calls to friends and loved ones, sending text messages, chatting and surfing social media, and much more are provided by telecom service providers. This sector accounted for approximately 13.94% of the country's real gross domestic product in Q3 of 2024. However, the industry has been plagued by operational inefficiencies and poor service delivery. In response, industry leaders are calling for an upward review of tariffs by as much as 100%. They argue that this adjustment is essential for breaking even and ensuring the provision of quality services to citizens.
The last time we saw an increment in the tariff of telecommunication services was about 11 years ago. In 2023, both MTN and Airtel lost 1.29 trillion to Naira devaluation. Looking at all those challenges, devaluation of currency, hyperinflation, dwindling economy, all those things makes it so difficult for the telecom operator to survive.
Not adjusted in the long run, Nigeria will suffer it, especially citizens, because that means we'll be unable to actually transact, and because the infrastructure will not be upgraded. So if they didn't actually try to increase their tariff, they will find it difficult. But if they actually increase, it could be marginal. It cannot be 100%. The government should negotiate with them, whereby it should be 20%.
Nigerians on the streets of Lagos shared mixed reactions to the development.
Nigeria is going through harsh. See, increasing it is way of just making life miserable for Nigeria.
The telecommunication is doing their business, and as a business body, your primary objective is to make profits.
It's coming at a time when Nigerians should be allowed to breathe. We can't breathe. I mean, the fuel subsidy has been removed, but fuel is still on the increase, which has affected feeding, it has affected house rent, it has affected transportation, and all sorts of life. So this coming on is just one too many.
People's salary are not increasing, but you see something being increased by 100%. I don't blame the telecom company. It is due to the cost and the political cost.
The Minister of Communications and Digital Economy, Dr. Bosun Tijani, expressed optimism about the sector's improvement. He revealed that the government plans to deploy 90,000 kilometers of fiber optic cables to enhance connectivity and drive economic growth in 2025. However, despite these efforts, the question, of affordability for many Nigerians remains a pressing concern. In Lagos, Sagir Ibrahim for News Central.
Let's also tell you that the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited has been indicted for alleged misappropriation of funds and revenue diversion in the 2021 Auditor General's annual report. The 558-page report, published in November 2024 and submitted to the National Assembly, shows significant financial irregularities within the state-owned oil company. One of the key findings highlights unauthorized deductions of 82.9 billion naira from Federation revenue, purportedly for refinery rehabilitation. The Auditor General further criticized NNPCL for irregular deductions from domestic crude sales at source, a practice flagged as a violation of the Nigerian Constitution and financial regulations of 2009, which emphasizes the prudent management of public resources. The report underscores deep concerns about financial accountability within the NNPCL, calling for urgent reforms to address these issues. The National Assembly is expected to deliberate on the findings in the coming weeks. To help us with some perspective here, we're joined by attorney at law, Eze Eluche. Eze, thank you very much for joining us. First off, has there been any noteworthy response from the NNPCL? And what are the constitutional and legal implications of these NNPCL actions and the report? Eze, if you can hear me, please. Okay, I think we're having a bit of an audio issue. Eze, if you can hear me, can you just acknowledge good evening? I might have to come back to that conversation in a bit, but we can tell you that Polytechnic graduates in Lagos demonstrated at the National Youth Service Corps Secretariat over NYSC's policies that stops part-time Polytechnic graduates from participating in the one-year compulsory NYSC scheme. The students believe this particular policy from NYSC will only worsen the dichotomy between bachelor's degrees and higher national diploma certificates in Nigeria, especially within the nation's civil service. News Center's Omolola Ololade has more in this report, but we'll bring that after the short break. Stay with us. Thank you for staying with us. Earlier, we brought you an intro on the dichotomy between Polytechnic and BSc certificates. We have that report by my colleague Omolola Ololade now.
Chanting solidarity songs in front of the National Youth Service Corps Secretariat in Surulere area of Lagos are members of the Polytechnic Graduate Association voicing their frustrations over the long-standing disparity in opportunities afforded to higher national diploma holders compared to university degree holders. The protest aims to bring attention to the clause given by NYSC, which denies part-time Polytechnic graduates from participating in the one-year compulsory service year.
We just plea for the federal government, the Ministry of Education, Honorable Lawasa, should please help us look into this matter because it's not fair at all. I mean, I don't want to use the word is illogical because how on earth will I do ND part-time and HND full-time? You are now judging my service by my ND part-time.
Therefore, stakeholders in the education sector condemned the clause by NYSC while emphasizing it as a denial of the students' rights.
Demand from the ERC is simple. They merit it, they suffer for it, they labor for it. What should have been their rights, and yet they are still being denied.
After a few hours of demonstrating, a representative of NYSC addressed the protesters, commending them for a peaceful protest while assuring them of the positive feedback from higher authorities.
We've taken it into consideration to convey your grievance to the highest level of management in NYSC, and that is Director General at the National Directorate Headquarters. And as I'm talking to you now, your protests, your grievances have been conveyed, and the matter is being looked into. And I want you to please exercise calmness, patience, to be able to wait for the outcome.
The protesters hope that NYSC will listen to their grievances and return with the positive feedback, as they give a 48 hours ultimatum to return if their demands are not met. In Lagos for News Central, I am Omolola Ololade.
Many thanks, Omolola. Let's now take on that conversation, looking at the indictment of the NNPCL by an Auditor General Annual Report 2021, which is going to the National Assembly for further review. We're joined now by Attorney at Law, Eze Eluche. Eze, good evening. Thank you for joining us. Do confirm you can hear me now.
Yeah, thank you very much for the invite. My pleasure.
All right. Has there been any response from the NNPCL to this Auditor General's report? And what would be some of the constitutional and legal implications of their actions?
Well, I do not expect the NNPC to bother to respond to this. It's part of the impunity the NNPC under the leadership of Mele Kyari has always displayed. Not too long ago, it was reported that over 400,000 barrels of crude was missing every day from the NNPC, and then nothing has happened. So why would you expect him to bother to respond to this issue? Nigeria has not shown seriousness in addressing the fraud, the humongous corruption that goes on in the NNPC. And if we realize that NNPC is the goose that lays the golden egg in this country, in our national economy, it becomes very clear why the economy cannot move forward. Until we tackle the fraud and impunity going on in NNPC, we can't move forward. The amounts mentioned by the Auditor General are quite huge. They're well over 82 billion in one with regards to illicit deductions, 330-something billion. But when you compare it with what was stolen, when 400,000 barrels of crude were being stolen on a daily basis, it amounts to over 16 trillion per annum. And one is not even surprised that the current NSA, Nuhu Ribadu, recently informed Nigerians that 400,000 barrels of crude oil is still being stolen on a daily basis. So if 16 trillion naira is being stolen, what is this issue of 82 billion? It's peanuts. Anybody expecting Mele Kyari to respond to this doesn't understand how these things work. It's not penalizing for the humongous theft
but at least,
and you want to talk about this? Yes.
Even if he doesn't respond, but there is a possibility of action. The National Assembly is expected to deliberate on the report in the coming weeks. How do you think they should respond to these findings that might compel some sort of action or punitive measures against NNPCL?
Well, if we had real strong institutions, particularly with the Nigerian police, the EFCC, the Code of Conduct Bureau, those agencies do not need to wait for National Assembly deliberation into this matter. They can step in because already the General's report is a forensic assessment of the NNPC. They can use that as a basis to invite the leadership of the NNPC to come and account for what is stated in these reports. The Auditor General is not a fluke, it's not a joke. It's the officer that takes charge of the discrepancies of appropriation of federal funds, and he has released this report. We agree. He tabled it to the National Assembly, but the Nigerian Police Force, the EFCC, and the Code of Conduct Bureau should not wait for us, because this National Assembly, they are not. I mean, it's unfortunate to say, but from their precedent, from their antecedents, we cannot really expect much from them. If care is not taken, they will go on vacation. And that is the end of this report. So I call on the EFCC, the Nigerian Police Force, because they have authority. The Code of Conduct Bureau, you don't have to wait for us. The amounts they mentioned here are worrisome. And unfortunately, even the state governments who have been defrauded, because the amounts the NNPC is said to have misappropriated is funds that should have gone into the federation account, where state governments and local governments should be able to share.
Everyone is impacted.
Share every month. So, yes.
Yeah, everyone is impacted. I mean, let's see what happens in the coming days. Thank you very much for speaking with us.
Thank you very much.
The Lagos State House of Assembly has approved a total budget of 3.37 trillion naira for 2025. The approval followed a report presentation by the chairman of the Joint Committee on Appropriation and Finance, Honorable Saad Olumoh, during Monday's plenary. The budget was passed through a voice vote led by Speaker Right Honorable Mudashiru Obasa. The budget allocates 1.3 trillion naira for recurrent expenditure and 2.07 trillion naira for capital projects covering the fiscal year ending December 31, 2025. Speaker Obasa directed the clerk, Olalekan Onafeko, to forward the bill to Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu for assent. He also commended lawmakers for their diligence in ensuring the budget's passage. Security forces were deployed across Conakry, Guinea's capital, on Monday, following the military-led government's ban on a planned opposition protest against the ruling junta. The protest, organized by the opposition coalition Living Forces of Guinea, aimed to pressure the junta, which seized power in a 2021 coup, to transfer authority to a civilian government. Authorities announced the ban late on Sunday, citing a lack of prior notification. On Monday, armed men summoning vehicles linked to security forces were seen dispersing gatherings and instructing residents to return home. Protests in Guinea are frequently banned by the authorities and often escalate into deadly violence, underscoring the tension between the junta and opposition groups in West African nations. In business, Nigeria's National Bureau of Statistics website is still offline following a hack on December 18. Perpetual Fasomi Peter has more on this and other business stories tonight.
Business news in association with Money Master PSB, the easy way to master your money.
In business, major data on Nigeria's economy remains inaccessible nearly 3 weeks after the National Bureau of Statistics shut down its website following an alleged hack on December 18. The website, a vital portal for economic gauges, remains offline with a warning against using any data until full restoration. Concerns are growing ahead of the December inflation report, crucial for the central bank's January 27 to 28 policy meeting. Reports on Q3 2024 capital flows and debt updates are also missing. Additionally, the NBS's X account has been silent since the hack. The timing, following a survey revealing Nigerians paid $1.5 billion in ransom over a year, underscores the need for enhanced cybersecurity in safeguarding critical national data. China's CMOC Group Limited, the world's largest cobalt miner, produced a record 114,165 tons of cobalt in 2024, more than double its 2023 output and far exceeding earlier guidance of 70,000 tons. The surge, driven by rapid expansion at its Democratic Republic of Congo mines, solidified CMOC's dominance in the cobalt market, surpassing Glencore plc in 2023. Despite the achievement, the record output has exacerbated a global cobalt sulfur supply, pushing prices to their lowest level since 2016. CMOC, which also boosted copper production by 55% to over 650,000 tons in 2024, has expressed concerns over cobalt's winning role in electric vehicles. The company's focus now shifts to copper, which it sees as a long-term growth driver. Sudan has lifted a force majeure on South Sudan's crude export, reopening a key pipeline damaged in February due to diesel shortages that halted operations in a war-affected zone. This resumption marks the return of oil shipments that account for over 90% of South Sudan's revenue. The two nations reached security agreements, and operator Bashir Pipeline Corps has ensured materials and equipment can flow along the route, according to January 4 correspondence from Sudan's Ministry of Energy and Petroleum. Before the rupture, 6 million barrels of crude were loaded monthly at Sudan's Red Sea Terminal, a figure that dropped sharply. Operators like China National Petroleum Corporation and India's ONGC are now poised to restore output. And finally, President Joe Biden is indefinitely halting offshore oil and gas development across more than 625 million acres of U.S. coastal waters, citing risks and the lack of necessity for national energy needs. This conservative move, enshrined in presidential memoranda issued 2 weeks before President-elect Donald Trump's inauguration, uses a 72-year-old federal law provision, potentially making it harder for future administrations to reverse. The ban covers the U.S. east and west coasts, the eastern Gulf of Mexico, and parts of the northern Bering Sea, rich in marine life and vital to indigenous communities. Existing leases remain unaffected, and drilling rights in Alaska's Cook Inlet and the central and western Gulf of Mexico will continue, contributing to 14% of U.S. oil and gas output. Biden aims to balance conservation with energy security, making some Trump-era protections permanent. And that's our package on Business at this time. Thank you for watching. I am Perpetua Fasami Peter. The news continues shortly.
Sports Update, brought to you by Corn Oil. Corn Oil, we go the extra mile.
Nigeria Premier Football League strugglers Akwa United Football Club have agreed a mid-season managerial contract with coach Kennedy Boboye. The club's management sealed the deal at the club's office in Uyo on Monday, and the coach is expected to begin work later this week. Chairman of the club, Paul Bassi, who expressed optimism that the coach will bring his wealth of experience to turn around the team's fortunes, described Boboye's return to the team as necessary, adding that the decision to reassign the coach was because of his track records and previous achievements with the club. Coach Boboye joined the Promise Keepers during the 2019-2020 MPFL season and won the league title with the club in the 2020-2021 season, his second league title as a coach after lifting the trophy with Plateau United in 2017. Egyptian giants Al Ahly are reportedly exploring the possibility of signing former Manchester City striker Kelechi Iheanacho. Iheanacho, who joined Sevilla on a free transfer last summer following the expiration of his Leicester City contract, has struggled to make an impact in the La Liga. The Nigerian forward has failed to score or assist in 9 league appearances this season, pushing Sevilla to seek a loan move during the transfer window in January with an option to buy. While several English clubs have expressed interest in Iheanacho, the 28-year-old is also reportedly attracting interest from Greece, Turkey, and the USA. Arsenal Football Club have suffered a fresh injury blow after rising star Ethan Nwaneri was ruled out for a few weeks with a muscular problem. Nwaneri suffered the injury in Arsenal's 1-0 draw against Brighton on Saturday and had to be taken off at half-time. Arsenal manager Mikel Arteta confirmed the teenage forward, who had scored his side's first-half goal against Brighton, faces an extended spell on the sidelines. The 17-year-old has scored 5 times in 18 appearances in all competitions this term after emerging from the Arsenal Youth Academy. With England forward Bukayo Saka expected to be out until at least March following surgery on a hamstring injury, Nwaneri's absence is another setback for Arteta ahead of a hectic spell of 9 games in 30 days. Arsenal are back in action on Tuesday when Newcastle United visits the Emirates Stadium for the League Cup semi-final first leg. South Africa made light work of a modest target of 58 to claim victory against Pakistan by 10 wickets on Monday, wrapping up the series 2-0 inside 4 days of the second and final test. Pakistan, a battered shot after Saim Ayub suffered a broken ankle while fielding on the first morning, was still 92 runs in arrears after the double blow. South Africa had already claimed their place in the World Test Championship final against Australia at Lord's from the 11th to the 15th of June. They have now won their last 7 tests in a row, their second best ever run of victories behind a 9-game winning streak between 2002 and 2003. And that's a wrap on Sport Update. I am Udoka and Joko.
Entertainment news in association with Glow Unlimited.
Tonight, in entertainment news, the Federal High Court has ordered the Nigerian police to release popular singer Speed Darlington, also known as Akpi, pending the hearing of his case. The court also instructed Abubakar Marshall Esquire to act as his surety. This ruling follows allegations that Darlington's detention violated his fundamental human rights, as stipulated under Chapter 4 of the Nigerian Constitution, despite an earlier court order on December 23, 2024, declaring his detention unlawful and mandating his release or formal arraignment within 48 hours. The police failed to comply. Darlington's lawyer, Deji Adeyanju, expressed frustration over the police refusal to obey the court's directive, calling it a blatant act of disrespect towards the judiciary. Justice M.S. Liman reiterated that the singer must either be charged to court or released unconditionally before the hearing of his substantive case. The court's ruling also emphasized the importance of protecting citizens' rights to dignity, liberty, expression, and movement, condemning Darlington's continued detention as a gross violation. Darlington's team remains resolute to seeking justice. They have vowed to hold the responsible authorities accountable for their actions and ensure compliance with the court's order. A body horror film that marked a pivotal return to form for the 62-year-old actress. In her emotional acceptance speech, she reflected on the long journey to recognition, expressing gratitude for the opportunity and acknowledging past struggles with self-worth and industry perceptions that once made her doubt her actress recounted the producer's dismissive comment from 3 decades ago, labeling her as a popcorn actress, which led her to believe she wasn't deserving of critical acclaim. Moore admitted that this belief eroded her confidence over time, even leading her to consider stepping away from acting. Despite past nominations for Ghost and If These Walls Could Talk, the Golden Globe win represents a crowning achievement in Moore's illustrious career, reaffirming her place in the acting world. That's all on Entertainment Tonight.
And that's all tonight. Remember, you can watch News Central live on DSTV channel 422, Star Times channel 274, Avo TV, and on YouTube. Thanks for watching. Do stay tuned to News Central for more programming.